Hey, welcome back to Real Talk. Love that we get to chew on this material together during the week. Something really cool, we have taken the audio, or what you're hearing in these videos, and we've put them in podcast form. And so you can subscribe and listen to those on iTunes if you'd rather consume these things in that way. So today's passage, man, it's hard. It's part of why we called these Real Talk, because we want to be able to just be honest about some of the stuff that the Bible teaches. Jesus is going to say some things that are going to offend. In fact, so much so that people are actually going to be like, we have had enough of this guy. We're out of here. And they're actually going to leave. We got to get rid of this notion that the Bible teaches that Jesus is just this nice guy and he just wants us to get along. Like, that's not really the whole story. So John chapter 6, again, difficult passage, but Jesus really, for the first time, says, I'm the Son of God. He's kind of been dancing around it for a few chapters, and he just kind of comes out and says it now. And he says some things that, frankly, they're fighting words. And that's what John gives us here. But Jesus is going to tell us about this incredibly unique relationship, this closeness that he has with God the Father. So let me show you John chapter 6, a couple of verses that I want to give you today. Verse 38, Jesus says, "For I have come down from heaven." Now, let me just say that right there, that those words are the kind of thing that get you killed. Because to say I've come down from heaven is to say that I'm from heaven. It is Jesus saying, I'm the Son of God. And that's going to challenge people. He says, I have come down from heaven, not to do my will, but to do the will of him who sent me. Okay, so I want you to remember this word, okay? The word is submission. Keep that word in your mind. Here's another verse. Verse 46, Jesus says, no one has seen the Father except the one who is from God. Only he has seen the Father. Okay, another word I have for you, I want you to remember, is the word connection. So hold on to that one. We got submission, we've got connection. We'll come back to that. One more, verse 57, Jesus says, I live because of the Father. So this final word is the word confidence. So we've got connection, submission, and confidence. Jesus is talking about this relationship, this intimacy that he has with God the Father. And the first thing he mentions is just this idea of being connected. And a couple of episodes, in episode 2, a couple episodes ago, we talked about how Jesus would often leave the crowds, leave his friends to just go and be alone with God. If you didn't catch that video, you can go back and watch it. You actually click on the link right here, and you can go back and see that video. But Jesus talks about this oneness that he has with God. And of course, God the Father and Jesus and God the Spirit, they're one in their being, in their existence. But it's also in their relationship. Jesus, the Son of God, and God his Father are on the same page. They are connected to one another. They have this intimacy, this relationship. But it goes more than that. It goes deeper than that. Jesus says we're connected, but we also find out that Jesus submits to God the Father. He is completely submitted to God's will. In fact, so much so that he's going to go and die on a cross for my sins and for yours. But he's totally submitted to God's will. What is God's will? Jesus says in verse 40 that it is that anyone who follows him would be raised to eternal life. Now, you and I, we don't love the word submission or submissive. It feels kind of demeaning or oppressive. In our culture, we're all about being liberated. But the reality is, all of us, me, you, we're all submitting to something. It's what we're kneeling to. It's what we're bowing to. We're all kneeling to something. Lots of different things it could be. It could be, for some of us, it could be money. Like, we're all about that cash, and it is about working hard and making more money and taking on a second job so we can cram cash in the bank or we can spend it. For others, it's career. You have a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. It's very specific, and darn it, at all costs, you're going to get there. There's other things we submit to. For some of us, I hate to say it, it's our kids and their activities. Your kids, there's no room for anything else because your kids are so busy and you're so focused on it. They play 3 sports and they take college level courses and they're on the debate team and National Honor Society and they're in the jazz choir and you just go from activity, 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 activity. Wow. We are submissive to our kids and their schedules. We could be submissive to lots of things. Sex, possessions, culture, our hobbies. Jesus only submits to the Father. Now, here's the thing. When you're connected to something, you actually want to submit to it. You actually want to serve whatever it is you're connected to. So I'll give you an example, like date night. You and your significant other need occasionally to have a date night. Yeah, you see each other all the time, but you need to pull away, just the two of you, and spend time together. And if you get that rhythm going, do you know what happens? You actually want to submit to serve the other person. You actually want to be nice to them and help them because when you're connected, you trust each other and you want to serve that other person. And so Jesus goes, I'm connected to the Father, so I submit to the Father. Now, there's one more thing. He says, as I submit to the Father, I have complete confidence in God. Wouldn't it be great to walk around in life and just have all the time total confidence, not pride, not arrogance, confidence? That's so awesome. That is like freeing to me. That when we are connected to God, we submit to God, we can have total confidence in God. Now, look, here's where it gets real. Here's where I'm going to push on you a little bit, hold up the mirror to you. If you're hearing this and you're going, I don't have that confidence. I don't know what God's will is for my life. I feel like I'm just kind of out there treading water. Here's my push on you. Are you taking time to connect to God? Because you have to connect to God so that you want to submit to God to have the confidence in God. And my push for you is, are you taking the time to connect to Him? And not just, one time you said, God, what's your will for my life? Are you taking that time? And I don't want to put any pressure on you, but that's how it works. We have confidence in God based on our connection to God. So again, tons in this passage we can't get to, but this week, if you're feeling like, man, I am being driven by my own agenda, I am having a hard time submitting to Jesus, and I'm feeling kind of prideful and selfish, I would just ask you, have you taken time and spent that time with God? Because when we are connected to God, we want to serve Him, we want to submit to Him, and when we do, we can have all the confidence in the world about our life and the one who goes with us through life. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time on Real Talk.